Hey, everybody. Welcome back to our podcast. This week, we are talking about keeping it positive and staying optimistic in your life. We're going to talk about why it's important to be optimistic and positive. Then, we're going to go into ways you can actually do that. And then, we're going to talk specifically about negative Nancy's and how you can deal with them. And we're not experts, but we're not dummies. So we know a little bit about all these subjects. So we hope you guys learn a little bit that can help you in your life. With that, you got your next host, which is Steven.
Oh, yeah, here we go. Let's keep it positive. Unless you're taking a COVID test, let's keep that negative. Other than that, we're trying to stay positive. We have Jun.
What's up, everybody? Thanks for joining us. And your host today is Crystal.
Hey, everyone. As your main host, welcome to today's Keep It Positive episode. And now we are on the line. All right, everyone. I wanted to start off with two quotes that I think kind of set the scene for times where you feel like everything's going wrong. And the first one is the darkest hour of the night came just before the dawn. And that is a quote from one of my favorite books called The Alchemist. I highly recommend you guys read it. And the other quote is very similar, and it's always darkest before the dawn. And that's a quote from Shake It Out, a song by Florence and the Machine. Both of those quotes basically is saying that you're going to experience the hardest, tough of times, and it's going to feel like the end of the world. But you got to keep positive and keep pushing through, because the darkest days are always followed by the sun. It's always followed by a new day. And you just got to stay positive and wait for that new day to come and that sun to rise. We're here to tell you guys today why it's important to stay positive and wait for that sun. So, why do you guys think it's just important to be positive and optimistic?
I think being positive has a very good, I guess, what domino effect, if you will. It has a good carryover to not just how you feel, but also how everyone else around you feels. Because if you're positive and you kind of have this optimistic oversight on just how things are going, it just makes you slightly more pleasant. And that in turn, makes other people also feel positive about a situation. They also look more optimistically, and it kind of snowballs into just a lot more positivity as long as you're positive.
Oh, yeah, that's exactly it. I mean, one of the biggest reasons why you should stay positive and optimistic is that you can, keep your brain focused on things that can make you more productive or get you out of these situations, using your brain power, using your energy, your effort to stress, to complain, to worry about these things can kind of hurt you, and it might even hurt others around you. It does have that snowball effect, and it does affect other people too. It's really important to stay positive. It really helps you get your best foot forward, especially if you're in a situation that, may be detrimental to where you're trying to go or what you're trying to do.
Yeah, definitely keeping it positive and being optimistic will keep you productive, because you'll get motivation from yourself intrinsically. So I think definitely it can help with productivity. In general, it's really important to be positive because, like the quote that I mentioned at the beginning, there are so many things that can go wrong, and sometimes, if not always, it rains and it pours. And it's just always all the bad things happening at one point, it feels like. And if you don't see the bright side in things, you might just be anxious all the time, and you might feel stressed all the time about things that haven't happened yet. And there's really no point in worrying about or stressing about things that may or may not happen, because it hasn't happened yet. So you don't have to worry about it. So I think it's really important to just stay grounded in the moment that you're in right now, and don't really worry about what else can happen and what more can happen. And you'll kind of feel a lot mentally better by doing that.
Yeah, and that I know it sounds like a very difficult thing to just be like, don't worry so much about something or kind of, let things go. But that's kind of the thing. If it was easy, then, everyone would be able to just be positive. And there's so many people that aren't able to stay positive. So just know that, it's going to be hard, and everyone knows that it's hard to be positive. Definitely stick with it and stay positive if you can.
If you have been with us since our first episode, you know I'm a stickler for being able to change your perspective. It is like a huge obstacle to try to just switch courses and convince yourself that you aren't sad or angry or annoyed, but try to see the positive things in these situations. Like I've said time and time before, these situations create opportunities for you and for other people. It's important to stay positive because you'll be able to then hone in on that skill of being able to see more of the facts that happen and being able to prepare yourself to basically attack the next situation versus letting things come to you and having things feel like a huge downpour just kind of raining on your parade.
Yeah, something that I always think about positivity is that it just makes things more pleasant. If you go through life more negative, then guess what? It's not going to be as fun. Something that's I can equate this to is if you go into a movie and you have a bad mood about the movie and you're like, this is not going to be a good movie, and you're being really negative, to be more likely than not, the movie is going to actually be not enjoyable, and it's going to turn out to be something that you kind of, in a way, Pygmalion affect it to be bad. So that's something that you always got to keep in mind, because if you go into a movie more positively, like, you know what, maybe this will be good. Keep open minded. I'll look, I think this is going to be a good movie, then the movie is gonna be more enjoyable. You allow yourself to laugh at things. You'll allow yourself to cry at things. You'll allow yourself to just enjoy it more. So go through life positively, because if you go through it negatively, it will it will manifest into a negative situation.
Yeah, I mean, it's kind of like that idea of mind over matter. What you have in your mind and what you think about something's going to happen, or you think that something's bad or think something's negative, it often end up feels that way or ends up being that way. But if you take that negative lens off and you put on your positive glasses, you can see more of the positive things that can happen. You can actually enjoy your day, enjoy your life. So in general, the mind is a very powerful thing.
If you keep a certain viewpoint in your mind, there's a good chance you'll just either manifest it, or you'll be so negative to other people that they start being negative to you. And it's just kind of a weird kind of cycle that kind of plays out. So, you know, although you could be positive and someone might be negative towards you, it's better than for both sides to end up being negative.
Yeah, and if you're just in a bad mood in general and you keep wanting to play off that bad mood, you can just emotionally burn yourself out and just really hurt your mental health. Like you don't always have to be positive and optimistic. It's okay to be sad. But if you're constantly being negative, you can really change the way your mind feels and the health of your mental health. And it's just really important to protect that. One article that I found from the Northeast Georgia Healthcare Center talks about how your mental health is so important because it actually affects your physical health. I think we talked about this in a previous episode, but this specific article, it's called Four Surprising Ways That Mental Health Affects Your Physical Health. One, your digestive health. If you're super negative all the time and you're feeling anxious about something because you're not being positive, that feeling in your stomach, it's not just butterflies. It could actually be your body changing the physiology of your digestive tract, and being stressed, having anxiety, feeling sad can actually affect the way that your digestive tract functions, and then often causing actual pain and discomfort just because of the mindset you're in. And then another thing is, in the article, it talks about sleep and energy. If you're constantly stressed or sad or depressed on things that are happening in your life and your mind is constantly in this negative state, you can really affect the way you sleep. Eventually It can lead to sleeping disorders like insomnia or sleep apnea. And just in general, it's hard to fall asleep and stay asleep. You might just wake up in the middle of the night all the time. So it can definitely cause really bad things in terms of sleep. And then your heart health is really important in this article. If you're constantly thinking negatively, it can really cause a spike in blood pressure or have an increase in your heart rate, which says that can cause high levels of stress, chronic depression, anxiety, or PTSD, and that can increase your risk of developing heart disease. So, in general, you guys need to take care of your mental health. And keeping positive is a way to keep your body away from all that stress and causing more health issues, physical health issues down the line.
Yeah, I mean, it makes a lot of sense. That's why I like try to tell people just to stay positive or not to worry about things because, keeping this like negative outlook on life or just on any situation can even in turn hurt your health and physiology in that sense. You are stressed and you are, clearly not trying to divert your mindset from that stress. It can affect your body. It can affect how your body, works, how it operates. It can affect different organs in your body. Unfortunately, you can lose some sleep, which also, would in turn help or hurt your immune system. And things like that you can change by just having an optimistic or a positive outlook on different situations. And it's definitely a skill, but it goes a long way trying to avoid, seeing the negative things in situations.
It's always good to have things backed up by science like Crystal has here. I mean, I'm sure everyone knows when you just feel or you have a bad day and you're thinking negatively, you can just feel that kind of effect on your body. And you just kind of know you know that when you're negative, then you just have these kind of adverse effects. You can't like maybe you don't think of it outright, but you're like having a bad day, you're being negative, you just can't sleep that night. So there's always I feel like everyone kind of knows themselves enough to when they get to that point that they can feel that sort of stuff. And now we got some science to back it up.
Exactly. So I think we kind of really wrapped it all up there. Be positive and optimistic, not just for yourself and for your outlook on life, but also for your physical health. It's kind of like that thing where it's important to be positive because you might not know what you're missing out of. I heard like someone say, like, if you're always negative, it's like you're carrying an umbrella because you always think it's going to be raining. But if you just let that umbrella down, you'll actually see the sunshine. Put that umbrella down and stay
Nice.
positive because you can actually figure out there's some good things in life that you can experience. So with that, we know why it's important. How do you what's your advice, guys, on ways people can stay positive when, it's just hard to be positive? Really bad things happen and it's just hard things that are out of your control. How do you find a way to be positive in such terrible situations?
I immediately think of like indulging in some food. I like to eat my sorrows away. I mean, I know that's not good for my physical health either, but it sure does help my mental health just a little bit, just enough to keep things positive. If I find myself really down in the dumps for whatever reason, any kind of situation brought upon me just got me, feeling out of touch or not so great. I like to treat myself to one of the greatest meals that I can find. And that's just, my way of kind of coping with things. It's not something I always do, but I know that that's something that is like a go-to that I know that I can find to comfort myself in that time, just so that I can get my mind right. Once I'm full, I feel like after I eat a big party meal, I realize, there are different ways to look at these situations and gets my mind right just enough. It just helps me bounce back from these situations.
What better way than the namesake of the meal, the Happy Meal? Let's go.
I think when something bad happens, I also like to eat my sorrows away. Kind of makes me feel a little better. Just enjoying a good meal. But I think when I'm really down in the dumps and I can't find the positive in situations, I like to just surround myself with positive people, or I know just those people that I know can cheer me up. I think when I'm having like a bad day, I'll tell Steven, I'm like, I'll invite, our cousins over, invite some people over tonight because I just want to be around people who, will make me laugh. Or if I'm really upset about something, I'll vent to them, and often they'll, help me see the brighter side in things if I can't find the bright side. So definitely try to just surround yourself with happy people and just people in general because they'll help you pick yourself back up if you can't.
There's definitely that domino effect that I mentioned before. And sometimes it doesn't even have to be you that starts it. You can be part of. You could be one of the. You could be the 900th domino down the line after that super long twisty rail of stuff that gets hit by positivity, and you get that positivity back.
I was gonna say, even like in those instances where Crystal's been like, "Hey, invite so and so over. Let's have some people over." One of the best things about it is if we're having a bad day ourselves, the people that we invite over, they don't care. So, they might not even ask us, how our day was or how things are going. They're just there to have a good time. We're there to host a good time. And you kind of let those negative feelings just kind of dissipate in the air. That's what I think is like one of the greatest things that can happen when you have people, that you can call on. They just, hey, come by. I just want to, have some good vibes looming. And, that's just the end of the conversation. It helps us, really decompress and helps us forget about, all the stress that we've been, experiencing that day and things like that. So if you have, some outlets in people, I say, use them, spend some time with them. And, even that alone might be able to get you out of that rut.
Call me when you want. Call me when you need. Call me in the
Hey,
morning. I'll be on the way.
hey,
I thought you were gonna go call Kim Possible. Call me, beat me if you want to reach me. Kim
You could go
hey.
that way.
Possible.
Something that also helps if there's not people that particularly make you feel positive, or like super positive people. Just making time for things that you enjoy, whether it be a hobby, say it be a movie, like your favorite movie, a comfort show, just time to do something that makes you happy. Because a little bit of happy, like although it's like it can be a small thing. It's like, oh, I want to go bake some brownies. That makes me happy. You make brownies, and just a little bit of happiness all the way through is going to keep you positive in the end. So just make time for things that you enjoy.
Yeah, I know like when I'm feeling, stressed or I feel like there's just too much going on and I'm not feeling too good, feel like just a lot of bad things happen in a week. Like I'll tell Steven like, can we do something like let's get out of the house. I want to like distract myself for a little bit and do something fun, like go to the mall and either get some food or buy something, and then, after just like a little time doing something that I normally enjoy, I start realizing, those little things that were bothering me weren't as important or as big or as stressful as I thought.
That's something that Crystal and I, use as a tool more often than not. We found ourselves, drowning in our stress, drowning in our emotions. We're having a rough week, might even extend to like an entire month. Like Crystal had mentioned at the beginning of this episode, it's always darkest before the dawn. And we found ourselves in that situation, time and time again, where, like I said, we've been drowning in our stress. There would be, something that we want to do at the end of the week. Let's say it's like a concert or something. We'll buy tickets. And at the end of that week, we'll still up until, doors open at the event, we'll be stressed out. But, after that concert, we'll feel refreshed. We feel like that battery's charged up and we're ready to attack, the next situation. But, it's doing those things that you love can really help you to not so much forget about the stress and all of that, negative energy, but it kind of helps to alleviate it to, a certain point to where you can then kind of think straight, and then kind of prepare yourself for the next action.
Yeah, and if you don't have time, to out of your day, or you feel like there's just no time to like actually do something that you like, or you don't have the money to spend on things that, normally would make you feel happy, I think a way to just change your mindset to keep yourself positive and see the bright side in every day is just enjoy the little things in life and find happiness in the little things. if you did your laundry that day, like, wow, I have like all the nice clean clothes. I can wear whatever I want tomorrow. Or say you have a nice clean apartment, you're like, wow, I can relax. There's nothing about that. Or say like you just need a break, maybe go outside and go for a walk and you can just enjoy the fresh air. And if it's summer, like all the flowers blooming and the trees are green and just enjoy, the little things that if you start paying attention to the little things, you'll find a little happiness in every day in your regular routine. I think that's really important.
Some people might say that 2K badge on Apex is just a small thing, but guess what? It
It's
feels
great.
real good. It feels
Yeah.
real good.
Yeah, and that's another tool just to, to stay positive or see, the bright side of these situations is to count your blessings. I know people say it over and over again, but it really is a blessing to be able to go home and sleep in my own bed that night, be able to take a shower, have an extra pair of clothes to change into, have some shoes, have a car. These are all blessings that, can get taken away at any moment. And it's really easy to forget that these things that feel, routine, that feel like are instilled in your life are just there forever because, things can always get worse, but unfortunately, not to invalidate any kind of bad situation, but it is truly a blessing to be able to breathe and to be able to change your future. You still have some control over where you can go next. So it really is a blessing, and counting your blessings really helps to keep things in perspective. That you could be in a much worse situation. Like I said, not to take anything away from where you are now, but it's truly a blessing to go through these situations.
Yeah, and that like really goes nicely with my next point, which was keep yourself positive and find the bright side in this situation is think about, it could be worse. I think that's not always the best thing to do, but if you think about like if something bad happens, you can think of like, well, this isn't the worst case scenario, this could have happened, this could have happened, or there's so many other bad things that could have happened and didn't. So we're dealing with one of those situations. And, if you just think about what didn't happen, this isn't the worst. It could be worse. So it'll be okay because, it's not the absolute end of the world, right? Nothing is going to end the world and life is going to move on. So you'll be okay.
It's like what is positivity without negativity? If everything was only positive, then nothing's really positive. So a little bit of
Yep.
negativity, if you not think negatively, but like, there's those thoughts that you be like, oh, it could be this. But, it'll help you see what actually is positive in what you have in your situation for sure.
Like you can't have the rainbows and the flowers without the rain.
Should be a lyric or something.
I think
Facts.
so.
What's that? Facts?
A great way to stay positive, I think, is just to just laugh. Allow yourself to laugh at things, laugh at anything that could be super small that makes you laugh, or even if you don't find something funny, if you laugh a little bit at it, it's hard to be negative when you're laughing, just because it's such a physical reaction, that you kind of it's involuntary. So if you laugh at something or you find something that you can laugh at, it kind of can alleviate some of that negativity that you have harboring in your soul. Harboring
Yeah,
in
there's
your soul.
Hey,
I think it made sense. That made sense. I like
let's
that you
go.
mentioned like the physicality of it because I don't know if this is true, but someone said that if you just like smile for 10 seconds, like you automatically feel happier.
Think
It just
so.
like
I think it's true.
creates like it maybe your body like creates an emotion because when you normally smile like that, it evokes some type of emotion. But apparently that works. So I definitely think laughing does help you stay positive, and that reminds me of work. At work there's just always problems happening and you just have to continuously run into problems and solve it, and sometimes it just feels like a little too much. And I notice like when it feels like there's so many things happening, I just like start laughing And my coworker's like, "Why are you laughing?" And I'm like, "Because if I wasn't laughing, I would be crying." So if you just laugh, it almost
Yeah.
just takes that negativity out of the situation, and it gives you like the mental like push to like get through it and like solve those problems, because like it's not that bad. It's funny that this is happening, and it's funny there's a ton of problems, but we'll get through it.
It's almost like focusing on a better emotion than a negative one.
I've learned through like some of the books that I've read, and when you're faced in these situations where you're like high stressed at work, or something bad just really happens, is to just trying to tap into another emotion. But I more so have gained that mindset to just embrace it. If I'm at work, like Crystal said, and like I'm completely swamped with things that I need to do, this is one of the only situations where I'm going to be faced with these kind of problems. So I like to embrace it. I almost see it as a challenge at that point versus, I have to do this, I have to do that. Seeing this long, list of things that I need to do, I, take a step back and see, I actually am important. I contribute to the workflow in this place. And, it really shows how significant of an impact that I make at this place, because if I don't get these things done, this place, these processes won't be able to run. And so, I like to embrace those stressful situations. And even when I'm like feeling down and things like that, I embrace that pain. I embrace that stress or that, annoyance, just because I feel like, living in that moment, living in that stress just helps me realize, what kind of moment that I'm in and what kind of situation I need to put myself in because of that. So I like to embrace all of those things that come to me, just so that I can then prepare myself to, switch gears and be in a different mindset, because I know what situation I'm in to begin with.
And whether you're embracing it, having a good laugh about yourself or the things happening around you, I hope you guys found a bunch of different ways you can stay positive if you're feeling down in the dumps, or if you feel like there's nothing coming up good in your life. We hope you take the time to do something that makes you happy, eat something that makes you feel better, or just
Oh yeah.
accept it and move on, and accept what you cannot change, and just find the little things that make you happy in life. With that, that was some good advice, guys. There are situations where, you're trying to stay positive and you're trying to find the bright side in things, but there are those people that constantly are bringing negative things. They're constantly hitting you back with, "No, well, you're wrong. This is bad still
No,
because of
no.
this." And, they're just, they're called the negative Nancy's in our world, and they're just constantly finding the worst things in the situation. So, how do you deal with someone who's just constantly negative and constantly reminding you of all the bad things going on?
I like to almost just, throw it back in their face. I don't like
What?
to I don't like to accept any kind of negative energy. I more so kind of redirect it. I like to pick their brain a little bit and see, why they feel like this is a negative situation, why they feel like they need to complain about it, and why they need to tell me about it. It sounds almost a little, insensitive, but, I'm trying to figure out why they're being negative in the first place, especially if I picked up the fact that this is a negative Nancy. There's nothing that I can say to this person to change their mind. So why not throw it back at them? I like to not contribute to that conversation. I'll just let them keep going down this hill if they so choose. So like somebody were come up to me and, it should be like this, it should be like that. It's not how it is. It's not how it's going to be. And I'll just sit there and ask them, well, how should it be? And then, they'll tell me their perfect scenario. And then I'm going to tell them, what's stopping you from making that happen. So it's more so like creating a conversation versus kind of accepting that negative energy, accepting all those complaints. And I mean, they are valid. They can be valid. I'm not trying to invalidate them. I'm just not accepting the fact that, they're going to give me some negative outlook on some things. And I'm not going to look in that same direction.
Yeah, I guess I've never thought about it like, asking them, making it a conversation in terms of like, why are you doing this? What are you doing that? Because I think it's a good idea, but I think on my end, when people are constantly being negative and these types of people, they tend to try to argue with you and sometimes they're just non-negotiable. So I think if you don't feel comfortable, questioning everything they say, you can also go a different route and just be sympathetic with them and just say like, you understand why it's tough that and tell them like, wow, that sucks and feel for them. And there's no way that they can like continuously give you negativity because, usually people are constantly being negative because you're trying to push positivity on them and they're not absorbing any of it. So I think sometimes it's better to just be like, totally get it. That sucks. And, validate their feelings because sometimes they just need you to be there to listen and to tell them that their feelings are valid.
I'll bring up a third route. You got the kind of throw it back in their face method. You got the accept it, like take it in, and be sympathetic towards their thing. And then I guess the third way would be to, in a sense, it's like remind them to be positive. Crystal had those two quotes at the beginning of the show, and they are the same quote, just repackaged into a different way. And even in the Dark Knight, Harvey Dent says that's almost the same quote. And it kind of brings to the idea that it's the reason why it's something like this is so powerful and it can be packaged and placed in a lot of places. People just need to be reminded, hey, by the way, stay positive. So I think that's a good way to also deal with someone who is a negative Nancy or a Debbie Downer. And they'll, you can just remind them, hey, by the way, you're being kind of real negative in this situation. Just why don't you try being a little more positive? Because people need a reminder every now and then. I need a reminder. So definitely, I think it's a good idea to also give people a reminder.
I like to keep it a conversation because, people like to talk through their stress or their complaints naturally. So I feel like if I open up that conversation, it seems that I'm accepting to, what they're willing to say and that I'm here to listen to them. I can eventually go down the route of pushing back some positivity towards them, or even reminding them to stay positive. It all starts with, the conversation. If, they're comfortable enough to talk to me about it, then, that's great. Because then, if it's all negative Nancy, the entire conversation, eventually I'll be able to poke at one of their interests and see, why these things actually matter to them and why it has to be negative. Down the road, it even helps to just change the topic. If, I'm running into a negative Nancy and then here we go, like straight out the gates, they're hitting me with some complaints. I'm just going to try to change the topic. I'm not there for all your negativity and nor am I going to entertain those thoughts. Hey, I'm going to talk about right. I'm going to talk about sports. I'm going to talk about, the weather, anything other than what you're trying to complain to me about.
Definitely changing the topic from that thing that's keeping them super negative is a good way to keep up your own boundaries because you don't really want that negativity to just rub off on you. Because if you're just around people who are constantly negative, constantly bringing up bad things or pointing out, negative things that happen in the world around us, it's going to start impacting you and you're going to start feeling that negativity. So I think changing the subject is a really good way to keep up your own boundaries and remind yourself that, what they're feeling shouldn't always be convincing you to change the way you're feeling.
That's why I think it's always important to stay positive yourself. Don't be brought down when a negative Nancy walks into your life and enters your conversation, enters the arena. You want to, you can control how you respond. You can't control how someone's going to come up to you. So stay positive yourself, even though sometimes you're going to be met with people who aren't so positive.
If these people, you're starting to realize that their negativity is harming your positive self, you got to figure out when you got to cut off that relationship. Sometimes negative people tend to stay negative and that's just the way it is. They love the drama, they love the negativity, and they like to put it on people around them. Misery likes company. So there's definitely a point where maybe you need to just separate yourself from that person or just avoid them. I did talk about how to cut off a relationship, a friendship in our friendships episode. So definitely check that out. But remember, you can just cut yourself off from negative people. You don't have to succumb to all that negativity. So that's just another way you can deal with them. Just bye bye.
Bye, bye.
Same thing as, when you're scrolling through your phone and you see something you don't like, leave the chat. You don't need to be surrounding yourself with all that. Just leave.
And then to keep your positivity, go straight to McDonald's, order a Happy Meal, and indulge in some positivity.
Yup. Get
Hey.
yourself a Oreo McFlurry. That sounds great. So, thanks guys for participating in my positivity episode today. Before we close this out, I want to play a little game called Turn It Around. So I'm gonna give you a
Turn
couple
it
situations.
around. Love to
Love
make
to
it positive.
Hey.
turn the meter around.
Let's
Dun
go.
dun 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 dun.
Thank you for the royalties.
All right. So basically, I'm going to give you a situation. They're pretty tough. So let me know how you guys would find the bright side if this was you. Okay.
All right, here we go.
Situation number 1. You plan an outing with friends and family, and it's going out to a restaurant. You're celebrating something. The restaurant says they can't take reservations, but they're like, well, you can definitely come at this time. There's usually enough seating. Like, it's not that big of a deal. You should totally still come. You get there with all your friends and family, but there's a 2-hour wait.
Oh, I'm starving.
I turn to Crystal and I go, what do we do now?
No.
Which we have seen time and time before.
2-hour
No,
wait. That for me, that's way too long. You
have
gotta,
a ton of people with you.
unfortunately, you 2 hours is so long that there's not a single person in that crowd that's gonna be like 2 hours is too is that's a waitable time. Everyone's gonna be like, okay, no, we get it. So sometimes just share the information, share the facts with people. Sorry guys, it's 2 hours wait. What do you want me to do? What do you want to hear, guys? So
Right.
let's go check something else out. What are you guys in the mood for? Let's maybe we could find something with a 40-minute wait.
Put yourself in a better situation. Find some other restaurant to go to. There is that Happy Meal that we keep mentioning.
Oh,
Golden Arches, baby. They're always open and no wait. But yeah, I mean, if there are other options, it's time to explore your other options. It is a little tough because you have a larger group, but like Jen said, making an open discussion. Maybe somebody wants to check out the restaurant next door. There you go. Do that. If that restaurant has a 2-hour wait, well, then you're set up for 2 different restaurants for 2 hours. Kind of keep your options open in that sense. Don't get so deflated at the fact that this restaurant that doesn't take reservations has a 2-hour wait. It's kind of just how things go. It's out of your control, but what you can't control is what you do next. So find somewhere else
the
to go.
night's canceled. Eric,
Yeah.
go home.
Yeah.
Do something else.
That was an easy one. I think that happens often and it could stress you out and you could get bummed out or stressed. But I think you guys had a good option. Bring everyone together there and come up with a solution together. Okay, the next one is a little bit more sucky. It's almost your birthday. No one has mentioned anything about your birthday on the days leading up to it. And then the day finally comes, it's like midday, and still no one has wished you a happy birthday.
Ouch. In hindsight, some people might get offended. Some people might find that to be hurtful. But as an adult, I've been much more forgiving. And, I don't find any kind of hurt or harm or insult in nobody saying happy birthday to me. I know throughout the days, the weeks, the years, people have a lot of stress in the things that they need to do. And if they forget that I have a birthday, I'm not going to hold that responsibility over their head. Say, hey, you didn't say happy birthday to me. You're this, you're that because of that. I can understand. I don't say happy birthday to some people and, it's unfortunate, but I don't hold, that greeting as something that is detrimental to any of, the relationships that I've formed in the past.
I'm gonna take some of Crystal's advice here, and I'm cutting off all these relationships. Bye. Snip, 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 snip. Just kidding. I think it's all right. It's not the end of the world that everyone might forget. People got things to do. Something that I mentioned before is, if you're feeling really negative about the situation, that's a perfect time to make time to do something you like, do something that makes you happy. everyone else forgot, just go and do your thing. If you want to go and watch a movie, just watch a movie. That's going to make you happy. If you want to stay and play video games, guess what? You can't not do that anymore. It's not like you have plans. So go and do what you want to do. You know, do what makes you happy in that situation and stay positive yourself. Unfortunately, it does sting a little bit, but just stay positive. Do things that make you happy.
Yep, I think the best way to stay positive in this situation is if no one planned anything, now you got the whole day to plan something for yourself. Plan a dinner. Ask your friends that if they're like, hey, are you busy tonight? It's my birthday. Do you want to come to dinner with me? You can now make your own plans. Yep. Throw a little guilt tripping in there. Guilt trip them into coming to your birthday because they forgot.
Paying for dinner too.
But you can now map out your rest of your day on your own. It'll be okay. And now you can curate your perfect day just by yourself. And I think that's a positive. All right. The next one.
Snip, snip, snip. If not.
So this one is pretty rough. Your company does a big layoff of a bunch of workers because say it was COVID. And you are one of those people that just lost your job.
Oh, dagnabbit. How do I stay positive? How do I turn this around?
You smile for 10 minutes, and I think you're good. I think you're all set from there.
Yeah.
I think it's a great moment to figure out, did you really love that job? Was there other avenues you wanted to look out for? You can kind of change it. Like Steve says before, like change your perspective on the situation. So like now this is an opportunity. It's not the end of something, it's the start of something. Now you can look, now you have I mean, you got laid off, you didn't quit. So you get a little bit of severance, hopefully. Is that what it's called?
Hopefully.
Severance?
Severance pay.
You get some severance pay maybe, and that way you can fund to go onto the path that you might actually want to take, or you can find some time for yourself.
And sometimes if people fire you, if you are eligible, you can get unemployment. So that's kind of a bright side. I think they usually pay up to, I don't remember, is it 50% of your paycheck? I don't know. But if at the bright side, if you get fired and it's not you quitting, you're eligible for unemployment. So that's a bright side.
Yeah, I mean, you guys hit all the points. This is an opportunity for you to do something that you want to do. You know, is this job something that you want to do for the rest of your life? And if so, good news. You've been working here, so you have the skills to find this job somewhere else. Clearly, they didn't appreciate your hard work and all the effort and skills that you've used to get this company to where they're at. So, you know, think about it this way. You're cutting them off. You're not going to reapply to that job, and you're going to apply for a better job. A job that, you know, can appreciate all the skills that you've earned at this job and, you know, get that recognition at that next job. Get a higher pay, you know, request for more PTO, whatever, what have you. Make it a job that's even closer to home. You know, these are all wins. These are all opportunities that you can now have that you didn't, you know, working at that job.
Yeah. And it could always be worse. They could have killed you. They could have shot you in the face.
They could have killed you.
Yep.
Have you guys seen Squid
you
Game?
And your whole family. Terrible. Well, those are definitely some good ways to turn a situation around. I think every situation is very similar. Just look on the bright side of things. Things could always be worse, and, you know, get help from everyone around you. Remember, it's always darkest before the dawn. Another quote I'm going to end off here is, a pessimist sees the difficulty in every opportunity. An optimist sees the opportunity in every difficulty. So all these things that happen, all these problems that happen, all the negative things that happen in your life, you know, if you're an optimist, you'll see an opportunity in all those difficulties, and you'll just have a better outlook on life, and it'll just make you better off for it. So remember, everyone, to stay positive. We told you a couple ways on why it's important to do that, and I think we hit the nail on the head here a couple times. But definitely stay positive, and we gave you a couple ways on how you can do that, and try to avoid those negative Nancys. But if you can't, we gave you a couple things you could do to deal with them or help them out. Hope you guys learned a little bit on how to be optimistic in your life. but we hope you guys stay positive out there. It's going to be okay. The dawn is coming. The sun is coming. It's going to eventually stop raining, and you guys will be all right. So we will see you guys in the next episode.
If you like that content and like more content like that, make sure to like and subscribe on our YouTube. Smash that notification bell. It really helps us out. Leave us a comment. We'd like to hear what you have to say. Give us some feedback. We are on Apple Podcasts and Spotify. Leave a review. Until next time, bye.
Bye.
Be positive. Now, what button do I press?
Did I do that?